February 1st, 1959, the Northern Ural Mountains, Soviet Russia, temperature minus 40 degrees. 9 hikers cut their way out of their tent, from the inside, in their underwear, and ran into the blizzard. They left behind their coats, their boots, their food, their only chance of survival. They were never seen alive again. When their bodies were found weeks later, the Soviet investigators wrote 5 words and sealed the file for 30 years. A compelling natural force. That's the entire official explanation for 9 dead bodies with crushed skulls, missing eyes, and radiation on their clothes. 65 years of theories. 0 definitive answers. This is the Unresolved. Today we go to Dead Mountain. Chapter 1. The 9. Who they were. January 23, 1959. Sverdlovsk, Soviet Russia. 10 university students boarded a train. They hid under seats to avoid buying tickets. One brought a mandolin. Their leader, Igor Dyatlov, 23 years old, engineering student, experienced mountaineer. He had never lost a hiker. The route, Category 3, most dangerous classification. 215 miles through the northern Urals in February. Their destination, Mount Otorten. In the Mansi language, don't go there. The 10th member was Yuri Yudin. He turned back on January 28th. Knee pain. He was the luckiest person alive. January 28th. The 9 begin the trek alone. Birch forests, frozen rivers, deep snow, wind gusts of 60 miles per hour. Their diary entries were cheerful. They published their own camp newspaper, called it The Evening Otorten. Headline, "We now know the snowmen exist." They were joking. About themselves. February 1st. They reached the eastern slope of Kholat Shakhl. In Mansi, Dead Mountain. They cut into the snow slope to pitch their tent. The last known photograph was taken at 3 p.m. 9 alive. Everyone fed. Everything normal. That night something happened. Something that caused 9 experienced mountaineers to make the most irrational decision of their lives, and then vanish. Chapter 2. The Night. What we know. Here is everything the evidence proves. Not theory, not speculation. The facts as investigators found them. Sometime between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. on February 1st, something woke all 9 hikers simultaneously. We know this because of the footprints. The tent was cut open from the inside, not torn, not ripped by wind, cut deliberately, with a knife, from within. Whatever they were running from, they couldn't wait to find the door. The footprints did not show panic. They showed 9 people walking, measured, controlled, together, in minus 40, in their underwear, through a blizzard. What kind of terror produces calm walking? They reached a large cedar tree at the forest edge. Someone climbed it, 15 feet high. Broken branches confirmed it. They were looking for something, or looking away from something. 2 hikers were found beneath the cedar, nearly naked. They had built a fire. Their hands were burned from leaning too close. Krivonashenko had bitten off a piece of his own knuckle, to stay awake, or to silence a scream. Others stripped clothing from these 2 dead bodies, and continued moving, in minus 40, in borrowed dead men's clothes, trying to reach the tent. They never made it. Dyatlov, Kolmogorova, and Slobodin were found scattered between the tent and the tree. Each had died walking back, alone, facing the tent they could never reach. The last 4 hikers, found in May, when the snow melted, in a ravine, under 13 feet of snow. They had survived the longest and suffered the most. Chapter 3. The evidence that makes no sense. The autopsy results from the last 4 bodies changed everything. These were not hypothermia deaths. Nikolai Thibault-Brignol, major skull fracture, not from a fall. The force, equivalent to a car crash. Zolotaryov and Dubinina, multiple broken ribs, both sides, car crash force, yet no external bruising, no skin damage. The force came from something that left no mark. Lyudmila Dubinina was missing her tongue, her eyes, her lips. Official explanation, dissolved in stream water. Her tongue dissolved. Her eyes dissolved. The rest of her body did not. Then came the radiation tests, high levels of radiation on clothing, specifically Dubinina and Kolovatov's clothes, enough to concern investigators. Official response: tests were contaminated. No further testing was conducted. And then, the orange spheres. Hikers 50 kilometers south reported glowing orange lights in the northern sky that night. Multiple independent witnesses, military personnel, meteorologists. This was never included in the official investigation. The investigation lasted 3 months. The file was sealed, classified for 30 years. Verdict: a compelling natural force. No cause named, no accountability, case closed. Chapter 4. The theories, every one, every flaw. For 65 years, every theory has tried to explain Dead Mountain. Let me give you the serious ones and show you exactly where each one breaks. Theory 1. Avalanche. Slope shifted while they slept. A slab of snow crushed the tent. Injured some, panicked all. Where the avalanche theory breaks: slope, 15 degrees, too shallow. No debris found. No damaged tree line. No avalanche recorded here before or since. And the footprints, they were walking. You don't walk calmly through an avalanche. But in 2021, Swiss physicists published a study using Disney's frozen animation software. They modeled a specific slab avalanche, triggered hours after the tent was cut into the slope, one that leaves no debris and can cause crushing injuries with no external marks. Theory 2. Infrasound. Wind over the mountain's shape creates infrasound, below human hearing but physically felt. Triggers, panic, dread, chest pressure, mass hysteria. But infrasound doesn't crush ribs or explain radiation. Theory 3. Soviet military weapons testing. The Urals in 1959 were peak Soviet nuclear territory. Explains radiation, orange spheres, sealed files, rushed investigation. Doesn't explain why let the bodies be found at all. If you can cover it up, cover it completely. Theory 4. Katabatic winds. Gravity-driven winds. Can hit 100 miles per hour with zero warning. Killed 8 Swedish hikers in a 1978 similar incident. Could explain the panic and injuries. Cannot explain the radiation or the missing tongue. The hard truth about every theory explains some of it. No theory explains all of it. And the Soviet government made sure we would never have all the evidence to try. Chapter 5. The details science cannot explain. Even if you accept every theory, 4 details remain unexplained. By any theory, by anyone. Detail 1. The walking footprints, 9 people, half naked, just fled something terrifying, and walked, calmly, not one running print. What kind of terror produces calm walking? Detail 2. Semyon Zolotaryov. He was 38, not a student, from a different expedition, joined at the last minute, found with a camera around his neck, in the ravine, underwater. A dying man chose to hold his camera. Why? Detail 3. The snow den. The last 4 built a survival shelter. They cut branches, they organized, clear thinking, methodical. But they had just stripped clothing from 2 dead teammates, who they watched die, and still built the den, calmly. Detail 4. The skin color. Yuri Kuntsevich attended 5 funerals. He was 12. He said the bodies had a deep brown tan. Not pale, not blue, brown. No other Soviet death by hypothermia case produced this skin color, ever. Chapter 6. The most complete picture we have. Here is the most complete reconstruction, based on the best available evidence. It won't fully satisfy anyone, because the evidence doesn't fully satisfy anyone. Midnight. The hikers are asleep. Wind, hurricane force, 60 to 80 miles per hour. Outside, minus 40 Celsius. Wind-driven snow accumulates above the tent. The cut they made in the slope to pitch the tent created an unstable snow shoulder above them. Hours later, it releases, silently, and falls. Even a small slab moving at 6 to 12 feet per second across sleeping bodies produces bilateral rib fractures, skull damage, chest compression. No external marks. Snow doesn't leave them. The Disney Frozen simulation proved this. Less injured hikers drag the others out. They cut the tent. They walk calmly, because injured people in shock walk calmly. Shock is measured. Panic is for the uninjured. They build a fire. Some die. Others make a den, and one by one on the cold winds. This explains the injuries. The walking, the den, the clothing transfers. It does not explain the radiation, the missing tongue and eyes, the orange spheres, the bronze skin, the sealed file, one theory, 5 unexplained details. Chapter 7, The Survivor, the man who saw them last. In 1959, a 21-year-old student named Yuri Yudin turned back because his knee hurt. He would spend the rest of his life asking one question: why him? Yudin dedicated decades to the investigation. He studied the files, met investigators, was present when Russia reopened the case in 2019. He died that same year, 2013, never knowing the answer. He was the only one who saw them alive, the only one who came back, the only one who could never let go. On January 28, 1959, Yudin said goodbye. He turned and walked downhill. They turned and walked into the mountains. He never stopped looking back. Chapter 8, Dead Mountain, Still Waiting. In February 2019, 60 years later, Russia reopened the investigation. They would consider 3 theories only: avalanche, slab avalanche, hurricane. Murder was ruled out before the investigation started. New investigation concluded July 2020. Official cause: avalanche. Official explanation for radiation, missing organs, orange spheres, sealed files, bronze skin, not addressed. The families were not satisfied. The Dyatlov Foundation continues to investigate. The mountain continues to exist, and the questions continue to have no answers. Igor Dyatlov, Zinaida Kolmogorova, Rustem Slobodin, Yuri Doroshenko, Yuri Krivonishenko, Ludmila Dubinina, Alexander Kolovatov, Nikolai Thibault-Brignol, Semyon Zolotaryov. 9 people who went to a mountain and never came back. 9 people who deserved an answer. The mountain pass was named for their leader, Dyatlov Pass. The mountain keeps another name, Kholat Syakhl, Dead Mountain, and it has kept its secret for 65 years. The case is officially closed. The Unresolved disagrees, because some cases were never closed, some truths were never found, and we're not done looking. Subscribe, new case every week, because the truth doesn't have an expiration date.